Forgive me, my princess. Please, I did not mean to offend you. Have mercy.
Stop this instant! How dare you defile my courtyard with this violence?
The morning sun had barely risen above the hills when silence settled over Hunter Kofi's home. For the first time in many years, the small house that had always been filled with Amina's laughter felt strangely empty. Outside, the royal horses stood waiting. Captain Bakery and his men had arrived before dawn, just as King Jabari had commanded. The soldiers waited respectfully beneath the great mango tree while Amina remained inside with her parents, struggling to hold back her tears. Amina gently stroked her daughter's hair. "My child," she whispered, "you've barely touched your food." Amina forced a smile. "I'm trying, mother." Kofi sat quietly in the corner, staring into the fire. His eyes were red from a sleepless night. For years, Amina had been his shadow. She had followed him into the forest, gathered herbs beside him, and spent countless evenings listening to stories about their ancestors. Now, she was leaving. No father could ever be prepared for such a moment. Amina looked around the room. Every wall carried memories. The wooden chair where her father used to tell stories. The corner where her mother dried medicinal plants. The doorway where she had measured her height as a child. Everything she loved was here. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Father," she said softly, "I don't know if I'm strong enough for this." Kofi stood up and walked toward her. "You are stronger than you realize, but I've never lived anywhere else." "That is true." Amina lowered her head. "I'm afraid." Kofi placed both hands on her shoulders. "Listen to me carefully, my daughter. Courage doesn't mean living without fear. Courage means doing what is right even when you're afraid." Amina wiped away her tears. "But what if I fail?" Kofi smiled. "You saved Queen Amara when the greatest healers could not. You have healed children, hunters, mothers, and elders. The ancestors have blessed your hands. Never doubt yourself." Amina embraced her daughter tightly. "And never forget who you are." Amina nodded. "I won't." Outside, Captain Bakery patiently waited. He understood the pain of farewell. He had left his own family many times in service of the kingdom. Still, watching Amina's parents say goodbye to their daughter filled his heart with sadness. After several moments, Kofi took a small leather pouch from his pocket. "This belonged to my father." Amina looked at it in surprise. "The herbal pouch?" Kofi nodded. "He gave it to me on the day I became a healer. Today, I give it to you." Amina accepted it with trembling hands. "I can't take this." "You must." She opened the pouch carefully. Inside were dried herbs, a tiny carving of an eagle, and an old silver necklace. "What is this necklace?" Kofi smiled sadly. "It has been in our family for generations. Keep it safe." Amina held the necklace against her chest. "I promise." Suddenly, Amina began to cry. The tears she had held back all night finally escaped. Amina embraced her mother. "Mother, please don't cry." "How can I not cry? My little girl is leaving." "I'm not leaving forever." Amina nodded. "I know." Kofi took a deep breath. "It's time." Amina looked toward the door. Outside, the horses were ready. The reality of her departure finally struck her heart.
Slowly, she walked outside.
The morning wind blew gently through the trees. Captain Bakery bowed respectfully. "Good morning, healer." Amina forced herself to smile. "Good morning, Captain. His Majesty eagerly awaits your arrival." Kofi stepped forward. "Captain, take care of my daughter." Bakery placed his hand over his heart. "You have my word." Amina kissed Amina's forehead. "Remember to eat properly." Amina laughed through her tears. "Mother, I'll be fine. And don't overwork yourself." "I won't." "And stay away from trouble." Amina smiled again. "I'll try." For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Kofi pulled his daughter into one final embrace. "Go and make us proud." Amina buried her face in his shoulder. "I love you, father." "I love you too, my child." With shaking hands, she climbed onto the horse. Captain Bakery mounted his own horse beside her. The soldiers prepared to depart. As the horses began moving, Amina turned back one last time. Her parents stood in front of the house, waving through their tears. The distance between them grew with every step, and yet, in Amina's heart, they felt closer than ever. Hours passed. The journey toward Zambia continued through forests, rivers, and endless fields. At first, Amina remained silent. Her thoughts never left her parents. Captain Bakery noticed her sadness. "Are you all right?" Amina nodded. "I've just never been away from home before. That feeling will pass." "I hope so." Bakery smiled. "The kingdom you're going to is beautiful. The people are kind. You'll like it there." Amina looked ahead. "I hope they're right about me." "What do you mean?" "Everyone says I can save lives. But what if I can't save the royal maid?" Bakery's expression grew serious. "The kingdom believes in you. But what if I fail?" "The greatest healers don't fear failure." Amina looked at him. "Then what do they fear?" "They fear giving up." His words remained in her mind. As they continued their journey, dark clouds slowly gathered in the distance. The wind became stronger. One of the soldiers rode closer. "Captain, a storm is coming." Bakery looked at the sky. "We'll stop at the river and rest." The group arrived beside a small stream. The soldiers prepared a fire while Amina sat beneath a tree. As she opened her father's pouch, something fell onto the ground. It was the silver necklace. She picked it up carefully. Strangely, the necklace carried an unfamiliar symbol. A butterfly. Amina stared at it in confusion. She had never seen it before. Why would her family keep such a necklace? Before she could think further, Captain Bakery approached. "Is everything all right?" Amina quickly hid the necklace. "Yes." Bakery sat beside her. "You miss your family more than anything." He smiled. "When I first left home, I cried for 3 nights. Amina laughed. "You?" "Yes. You don't look like someone who cries." Bakery laughed loudly. "Even warriors cry." For the first time that day, Amina smiled genuinely. Night eventually fell. The soldiers slept around the fire. But Amina couldn't sleep. She stared at the stars above. The words of Queen Amara echoed in her mind. "Stay away from Prince Malik." Why had the queen feared her friendship with the prince? What danger could possibly come from it? Questions filled her heart. Yet no answers came. Far away, inside the royal palace of Zambia, tension consumed everyone. The injured maid lay unconscious. Her fever had worsened. Queen Amara sat beside her bed. The young woman's breathing was weak. The royal physician shook his head. "Your Majesty, we've done everything we can." Queen Amara's eyes filled with tears. "When will the healer arrive?" "We don't know." King Jabari entered the room. "How is she?" The physician lowered his head. "Not well." The king clenched his fists. "She must survive." Queen Amara stood. "The healer is our only hope." The king walked toward the window. "Then may the ancestors guide her safely." Meanwhile, in another part of the palace, Princess Zara paced angrily inside her chamber. She still couldn't understand why everyone blamed her. Her maid approached cautiously. "Your Highness." "What is it?" "The palace servants are preparing a chamber for the healer." Zara frowned. "Everyone suddenly speaks of this healer as though she's some kind of miracle. People believe she saved Queen Amara." Zara turned away. "And now she's coming to clean up my mistakes." The maid lowered her eyes. "That's not what people are saying. But it's what they're thinking." For the first time in days, doubt entered Zara's heart. Had she truly gone too far? Had anger blinded her? She remembered the terrified face of the young maid in the courtyard. The screams. The tears. For a brief moment, guilt touched her heart, but pride quickly buried it. "No," she whispered to herself. "She insulted me." Yet deep inside, another voice questioned her actions. Elsewhere in the palace, Queen Amara sat with the royal elders. "We need more proof." The elderly woman who had raised the real princess nodded. "The butterfly test failed. Then we test her again." "With what?" The old woman thought carefully. "With memories." Queen Amara leaned forward. "Go on." The real princess loved singing beneath the moonlight fountain. Queen Amara's eyes widened. That's true. She also hated spicy soup. And Zara loves it. Silence filled the room. The queen whispered, "Could we truly be living with a stranger?" No one answered, because nobody dared to imagine such a possibility. Back on the road, Amina finally drifted into sleep. But strange dreams haunted her. She saw butterflies.
Hundreds of them.
She saw a palace. She saw herself as a little girl running through royal gardens. And somewhere in the distance, a woman called her name. Zara. Amina suddenly woke up. Her heart pounded. Sweat covered her face. The fire had almost gone out. Captain Bakery sat nearby, keeping watch. Bad dream? Amina nodded. I saw things I've never seen before. What things? She hesitated. A palace. Bakery smiled. Perhaps the ancestors are preparing you for your new home. Amina looked at the stars once more. Perhaps he was right. Or perhaps destiny was preparing something far greater. Far away, hidden beneath years of lies and secrets, the truth was awakening. And as the ancient spirit stirred, the path between Amina and her forgotten past grew shorter with every passing mile. The healer rode toward a kingdom in need. The princess sat upon a throne surrounded by suspicion. And somewhere between them, destiny patiently waited. The following morning, the travelers rose before sunrise. A thick blanket of mist covered the forest, and the sound of birds echoed through the trees. Amina sat beside the dying fire, staring at the silver necklace her father had given her. The butterfly carved into the metal continued to trouble her. Why had she dreamed about butterflies? Why had she seen a palace she had never visited? And why had the voice in her dream called her Zara? Captain Bakery approached with 2 cups of warm tea. You barely slept. Amina accepted the cup and smiled weakly. I kept thinking. About your family? She hesitated. About my dreams. Bakery sat beside her. Dreams can be strange things. I saw a palace. He chuckled. Well, in a few hours, you'll see a real one. Amina looked down at the necklace. It felt familiar. Bakery noticed the butterfly symbol. That's beautiful. Where did you get it? My father gave it to me yesterday. It's unusual. I've never seen that design before. Amina carefully returned it to her pouch. Before she could speak again, one of the soldiers shouted from the road. Captain, we can see the city. Everyone quickly stood. Amina climbed onto her horse and followed the others up a hill. And then she saw it. Far in the distance, surrounded by green fields and tall walls, stood the kingdom of Zambia. Golden towers reflected the morning sunlight. Colorful banners danced in the wind. Smoke rose from hundreds of homes. Amina's eyes widened. It's beautiful. Bakery smiled proudly. Welcome to Zambia. For a moment, Amina forgot her fears. The city looked like something from a dream. As they descended the hill, the roads became crowded with merchants, farmers, and travelers. People stopped to stare at the royal soldiers. Whispers spread from one person to another. That's her. The healer has arrived. They say she saved Queen Amara. Maybe she'll save the royal maid. Amina lowered her head, embarrassed by the attention. I don't deserve all this praise. Bakery laughed. You'll have to get used to it. But deep inside, Amina felt a heavy burden. What if she couldn't save the maid? What if everyone had placed their hopes in the wrong person? Inside the palace, Queen Amara stood near the window. One of the royal guards rushed into the room. Your Majesty, Captain Bakery has returned. The queen's face brightened. The healer? She is with them. Queen Amara immediately turned toward the servants. Prepare the entrance hall. The king, who had been speaking with his advisors, stood up at once. At last. Meanwhile, in another wing of the palace, Princess Zara was brushing her hair when her maid entered. Your Highness, the healer has arrived. Zara frowned. Already? Yes. The princess stood and walked to the balcony. From there, she could see the palace gates opening. Soldiers lined both sides of the road as Amina entered the courtyard. Servants bowed respectfully. The sight irritated Zara. Look at them, she muttered. They're treating her like royalty. Her maid remained silent. Zara crossed her arms. Let's see if this miracle healer is truly as special as everyone claims. Down below, Amina slowly stepped off her horse. The palace was even more magnificent up close. Marble pillars surrounded the courtyard. Fountains sparkled in the sunlight. Flowers of every color filled the gardens. Captain Bakery bowed before the king and queen. Your Majesties, I have fulfilled your command. King Jabari stepped forward. You have done well, Captain. Then his attention turned to Amina. For several seconds, he simply stared at her. There was something strangely familiar about her face. Something he couldn't explain. Amina quickly bowed. Your Majesty. Queen Amara stepped forward and gently lifted her to her feet. You have traveled far for us. Thank you. It is an honor to serve. The queen smiled warmly. We are grateful. Suddenly, the old woman who had raised the real princess appeared behind the queen. The moment she saw Amina, she froze. Her eyes widened. For a brief second, she felt as though she were looking at someone she had known long ago. The same eyes, the same smile, the same calm spirit. But before she could understand what she was feeling, Queen Amara spoke. The maid's condition has worsened. Amina's expression changed immediately. Take me to her. The queen nodded. Come with me. As they walked through the palace corridors, Amina noticed the paintings hanging on the walls.
Kings, queens,
Ancestors. And then suddenly she stopped. One portrait caught her attention. It showed a little princess surrounded by butterflies. A strange pain shot through her heart. Queen Amara turned around. Is something wrong? Amina shook her head. No. I just thought the painting looked familiar. The queen looked confused. You've never been here before. I know. Amina herself couldn't explain it. She quickly continued walking. From the balcony above, Zara watched everything. The way the queen held Amina's hand, the concern in the king's eyes, the admiration of the servants. Jealousy burned inside her. Who does she think she is? Her maid spoke carefully. Your Highness, perhaps she's only here to help. Zara looked away, then let her help and leave. Moments later, Amina entered the maid's chamber. The room was silent except for the sound of weak breathing. The injured maid lay unconscious on the bed. Her skin burned with fever. Her back was covered with wounds. Amina immediately rushed to her side. Oh no! Queen Amara's voice trembled. Can you save her? Amina gently touched the maid's forehead. Bring me clean water, honey, salt, fresh leaves, and charcoal. The servants ran out of the room. The king stepped closer. Will she survive? Amina examined the wounds carefully. I don't know yet. The queen lowered her head. Please save her. Amina nodded. I'll do everything I can. As the servants gathered the supplies, Amina carefully cleaned the wounds. The maid suddenly cried out in pain. It's all right, Amina whispered. You're safe. Hours passed. Everyone waited anxiously outside the chamber. The king paced back and forth. Queen Amara prayed silently. Even Zara, despite herself, couldn't stop worrying. Finally, the door opened. Amina stepped outside, exhausted. The queen rushed toward her. How is she? Amina wiped the sweat from her forehead. The fever has started to go down. The king's eyes widened. Really? She's still weak, but I believe she'll survive. Queen Amara immediately embraced Amina. Thank you. For the first time in days, hope returned to the palace. The servants cheered quietly. The king smiled. You have given us a miracle. But as everyone celebrated, Zara remained silent. Something inside her heart felt uneasy. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the center of attention. Everyone spoke about the healer. Everyone admired the healer. And worst of all, her own parents looked happier with Amina than they had looked with her in months. Later that night, Queen Amara sat with the old woman in her chamber. What do you think of the healer? The old woman remained silent for several moments. She feels familiar. The queen slowly nodded. I felt the same thing. And today, Princess Zara failed another test. Queen Amara looked up. What happened? I served her the spicy soup she used to hate. And She finished every drop. The queen's face turned pale. Impossible. The old woman shook her head. The little girl I raised hated spicy food. She would cry if even a single pepper touched her tongue. Silence filled the room. Queen Amara whispered, "Then who is living in this palace?" The old woman looked toward the moon outside the window. "I don't know." At that same moment, Amina sat alone in her new chamber. The room was beautiful, but she missed home. She removed the necklace from her pouch and held it tightly. Suddenly, she heard music somewhere in the palace gardens. Without knowing why, she followed the sound. The moonlight illuminated the empty courtyard. Butterflies danced around the fountain. And as Amina stepped closer, strange memories flashed through her mind. A little girl laughing. A woman's voice singing. A pair of gentle hands holding her. Amina gasped and grabbed the edge of the fountain. What is happening to me? Far away, hidden beneath 18 years of lies, the truth waited patiently. And destiny had only just begun to reveal its secrets.